retains the lead, followed by Steve Dick, Gary Goodfellow, and Tommy Douglas. Those
The roof on Toronto's spectacular Skydome is open to allow the daylight in and the thunder out. Welcome to the most raucous event in Canadian motorsport, the Molson Export Supercross. I'm Ron McLean. Lesson number one, the race begins from here. When I press the foot pedal, heat number one will be underway. The inaugural running of Supercross at Skydome in Toronto cleanly underway. This is heat one of 4 qualifying heats, and here to offer his expertise in the sport of Supercross once again this year is Pat Gonzalez. Pat, it's a pleasure to welcome you to our CBC announce booth. A great group of riders from across North America, and I assume for Canada to place well will surely be a challenge.
Ron, we've got a Canadian placing very well right now in this qualifying heat. Alan Dick from Abbotsford, British Columbia on the Honda grabbed the whole shot. He leads. Rider number 72, Mickey Diamond, who's taken over that second place position. And look at the air off the big trailer jump by Alan Dick. He really took a lot of momentum up onto that jump and continues to lead Mickey Diamond, but Diamond's going right after him if they move through this section of rockers.
They feel at times the winning in this event's in the beginning. How important, Pat, are the first 100, 200 yards in terms of setting up a race like this?
Ron, the start is all important, especially in these 5-lap qualifying heats. Here's Alan Dick. He gets the lead on the straightaway, holds it through turn number 1, and you want to be up front early because you can get hung up and get run into by another rider through that first turn. But Alan Dick cleanly away. Rider number 219, Robert McCullough, the Kingston, New York rider, in second. But he has been pushed back to third by Mickey Diamond, who now comes up here to challenge Alan Dick. Mickey Diamond right behind Alan Dick as they go into the switchback right-hander. Dick pulls up alongside. Over the jump, Mickey Diamond has taken the lead away from Alan Dick. Mickey Diamond, the 2-time American 125 national outdoor champion, running here in Toronto, I believe, for the very first time on the Yamaha.
And he's one of the strong U.S. contingent here to contend, and as you see, he goes inside out to take the lead.
He squares off that turn. Dick has a little bit of a problem through this section of whoop-de-doos. Diamond pulls right up alongside, gets a good drive out onto the straightaway, and then up over this jump, accelerates past Alan Dick to take the lead.
They'll run 5 laps in these qualifying heats. Number 72, Mickey Diamond, who, as you suggest, a 2-time 125 of the favorites here.
Mickey Diamond, who was injured last year, he's come back very strong this year. An impressive performance so far in this qualifying heat. Jim Hawley, who's raced many times in Canada, he's been running Supercross races right around the world. Jeff Surwall, who raced on a Kawasaki for many years, he is on the red Honda for 1989. Glenn Nicholson, another Yamaha rider, he is coming back from a bad knee injury. He'll give it a go here tonight. Alan Dick, who led the event early, currently runs back in the second place position. He's on a Honda.
All of the riders were out earlier this afternoon for practice laps to get to know the circuit, and Alan was kind enough to allow us to mount our cameras on his equipment, and this will give you a great perspective on what the track actually looks like from the rider's perspective, and also some insight into the running surface itself.
There you can see the surface, Ron, from a far distance. It looks fairly smooth, but here from the camera we can see just how rough and rutted this track is. The rains during the week here in Toronto, this dirt was trucked in on Wednesday, and it is a clay-based track, which means as we go through the night, it'll get rougher, the ruts will get a little bit deeper. Here's Alan Dick. You can see just how hard the suspension works up over the big trailer jump. That'll be the most spectacular jump on the course, where the riders will get lots of air. They'll fly 20, 30 feet off of that jump. We're back to the leader, Mickey Diamond on the Yamaha. Look at Diamond work this section of rocker jumps. You can see the timing there is just perfect aboard that Yamaha as he comes up onto the straightaway. This is one of the faster sections of the track where these 250cc motocross machines will get up to about 50 miles an hour. Number 73 now, Jim Hawley, has taken over that third place position as rider number 219 drops back into the fourth place spot.
Pat, Mickey Diamond actually stalled his bike coming through turn number 1 as he approached the finish jump, and that allowed Dick to cruise on by.
Alan Dick back into the lead, but Mickey Diamond got his motorcycle started very, very quickly, and he's going right back after Alan Dick. There it is. Your new leader, Alan Dick, number 1. Mickey Diamond, 72 in that second place position, and you can see Diamond very aggressive. He's charging after the leader, Alan Dick, and again, plenty of air off that jump for Alan Dick. Diamond runs in second. Jim Hawley, 73, is back in third.
They're coming up now to the final lap. Alan Dick trying to protect this lead. The top 3 qualifiers from each of these heats will move right into the final showdown. And here's Dick nursing that lead and Diamond approaching.
Mickey Diamond just a few bike lengths back. Here's Alan Dick trying to make his way around a couple of slower riders. Here comes Diamond right up alongside as they go into turn number 1. The blue and white last lap flag being displayed. Mickey Diamond on the inside of Alan Dick. He will retake the lead as they move up onto this second straightaway section. Mickey Diamond into the lead.
Diamond really seems to be great in these tight corners, Pat.
Alan Dick appears to have some problems there with one of the slower riders, number 711. That is Les Gallo. And then as he moves down to the inside, Mickey Diamond takes the outside berm, and he pulls right up alongside as they take the blue and white last lap flag. Here's Diamond. He chops down on the inside of Alan Dick and will grab the lead through that left-hand switchback turn. Less than a lap to go as it is Mickey Diamond now working his way through the rockers for the final time. There you can see the interval, just a few bike lengths as they come up onto the straightaway. 72, Mickey Diamond on the Yamaha. The American rider leading the Canadian Alan Dick, number 1. The checkered flag will be out as they come through turn 1 up to the finish jump. There's the checkered flag. Mickey Diamond, your winner.
So Mickey Diamond captures qualifying heat number 1, the official order. Diamond number 1, Alan Dick second on the Honda, Jim Hawley on his Yamaha third. The top 3 from each of the heats qualify. That makes 12. Another 12 will come from the semis, and 1 will get in the last chance. A total of 25 to the final. So we're just nicely underway, and that's just a sample of what's in store here today. In addition to the Supercross action, we'll also have the Thunder Buggies, and they've been a crowd favorite since their introduction 7 years ago. The monster trucks and a celebrity challenge where a group of eager personalities hope to use fame in order to tame this circuit. Pat, I think you'd agree that we've really seen an evolution since the first Toronto Supercross in 1980.
Well, Ron, the Toronto Supercross has really become one of the premier events in North America, and I think it rivals some of the best events that are held in the United States. But what we're going to see tonight is just non-stop action from start to finish. And you know, it's great to be in the Sky Dome because I was at Exhibition Stadium the very first time the Supercross machines and the Thunder Buggies ran. And I tell you, it was a quagmire. The rains dumped down on the racetrack. It was very, very difficult. The rider who took the checkered flag in that very first Supercross here in Toronto is a young California rider by the name of Donnie Cantalupi, and he won it simply because there were no other motorcycles still running on the racetrack. The conditions were that bad. And we have a lot of rain in Toronto this week, but because of the Gold Stadium being covered here, it hasn't been a problem. The track should be great tonight, and we should have just a tremendous show here at the Sky Dome.
Trucks. Meantime, there are still 3 qualifying heats in Supercross to come. There's Eric Donahue of Sherbrooke, Quebec, as the fine-tuning continues in preparation for those races. Number 3, Carl Vaillancourt out of Drummondville, Quebec, and motorsport so popular in La Belle Province. And there, of course, the premier rider in Canada, Ross Rollerball Peterson, pushing out for Heat 4. Before we get to that, a review of the second and third heats, Pat.
This was a great run for Kurt McMillan, the Wappingers Falls, New York rider. A bit of a surprise as he leads last year's winner here in Toronto, Damon Bradshaw. But there's Bradshaw showing his superiority over the rockers as he grabs the lead and pulls away from Kurt McMillan. But it was a good ride for young Kurt McMillan. Here's the checkered flag coming up for 71, Damon Bradshaw, as he wins Heat 2.
So the 16-year-old out to defend his championship advances with a first-place finish in this qualifying heat, followed by Kurt McMillan and David Hand on the Hondas.
Heat number 3, riders revving up the engines, waiting for that rat trap starting gate to fall, and here goes that charge to turn number 1. And here we can see exactly what can happen when they bottleneck down there. We've got 3, 4 riders hooked up down on the racetrack. Number 7, Shane Drew, grabs the early lead. And there is another rider, number 54, having his problems as he stalls the machine. That was Terry Barrett from Stouffville, Ontario. He will not qualify in this one. Shane Drew opens up a pretty good lead here as the Thunder Bay, Ontario rider on the red Honda squares off that first turn, takes the checkered flag for an impressive win here in heat number 3.
And again, we remind you, the top 3 qualifiers move automatically into the final. Here is the official finish. Shane Drew on the Honda. Jeff Hicks was a teammate. And Arnaud Bernard on a Suzuki finishes 3rd. There's a spectacular look at Sky Dome as we get set for the 4th qualifying heat. And Pat, how about some of the key principles in this event?
Well, all eyes will be on Ross Peterson as he starts aboard his Suzuki. Ross looking to transfer directly through to the final. Young Mike LaRocco, the 18-year-old from LaPorte, Indiana, he'll be one of the riders to watch. Number 17, Mike Jones out of Export, Pennsylvania. He's had a very good run here so far. Tommy Carson out of Hopedale, Ohio. He'll be on a Honda. And then Pete Bowen, the former Yamaha factory rider out of Auburn Hills, Michigan. Mike Harnden, the former Canadian champion out of Oshawa, Ontario, now in the closing years of his career.
Pat, the field has never been stronger for a Supercross in Toronto. Now they move to the first turn. Heat 4 underway, and a start so important.
Some top American riders going up against Peterson in this one, and there's one of them, number 69. Tommy Carson grabs the early lead. LaRocco, 74, into the second place position. Peterson back in about 6th as they come out of the straightaway through this left-hand switchback at 69. Tommy Carson, your leader, 74. Mike LaRocco in second. Peterson coming up here to challenge now. LaRocco, followed by number 17, Mike Jones, in the third place position. And then it is Ross Peterson, number 1. Ross is through and into the fourth place spot.
Tommy Carson almost over the front forks. So there's Ross Peterson trying to reel in Jones.
Jones having problems coming over that jump. Peterson around and into the third place spot. Mike LaRocco, look at him work these rockers. He's right on the rear tire of Tommy Carson as they come through the left-hand switchback and up onto the fastest section of the racetrack. Carson, your leader. LaRocco in second. Peterson there in third. And then number 17, Jones, back in fourth.
Front three move into the qualifying, and here's where Jones gets tangled up along the barricade, and Ross Peterson smoothly off the jump and over the next into third position.
Mike Jones just inches away from disaster. He's able to hold on to the fourth place position. Peterson, number 1, is closing. The three riders separated by only a few bike lengths. Carson, 69, the Hopedale, Ohio rider who has raced many times here in Canada, and in fact is also running his ATV four-wheeler here tonight. So he's going to be one tired rider at the end of the evening. But Carson holding off number 74, Mike LaRocco. Peterson right there in third.
You can see the riders really exerting a lot of energy, and they have to use their legs oftentimes in order to stay on track. There's Peterson trying to get close, but it's tough in the rockers.
LaRocco is close. He closed right up on Carson, but Carson seems to get a little better drive out of this straightaway section, and Peterson still closing. LaRocco right there. Carson knows he's there. Carson down to the inside. LaRocco tried to run the wide berm, but it doesn't help his situation, as he's still a couple of bike lengths back of Tommy Carson. The pressure is on Tommy Carson, and LaRocco almost threw it away going into that turn, but managed to gather it back under control. Carson, 69, your leader over the jump. 74, Mike LaRocco in the second place position. And Ron, we talk about some of the great riders from the United States. We're looking at one of them in action right here. Mike LaRocco, look at the air over that jump. LaRocco pulls right up alongside of Carson. They were side by side. Again, LaRocco going for the lead through the rockers. He's been the faster rider through this section. And again, he closes on Tommy Carson, number 69. He almost ran into the back of Carson's machine going through the switchback. But again, Carson pulls away on the straightaway.
Well, the bulk of the success LaRocco's enjoyed has been in the 125cc class, and at times you can see him really gamble as if using the lighter bike, and there's another example of it. But he's staying close. Carson just ever so smooth in that number 1 position, and really he doesn't look as though he's going to give anything away.
Well, one mistake here by Carson, and LaRocco is going to be into the lead. Carson 69, LaRocco 74, and Peterson number 1. That's your top 3. Up over this big jump here. Now there's one of the riders who is parked it at the side. 69, again Carson, but look at LaRocco. Lots of air off the jump. LaRocco takes the lead. Mike LaRocco finally has been able to make his way around Tommy Carson. And here's been the section of the racetrack where LaRocco has been the superior rider. You can see Ronnie's pulling away. He's opened up about 7 or 8 bike lengths on Tommy Carson.
Mike LaRocco, number 74, the current leader, and it's Ross Peterson in third position as he tries to qualify. Here's a look at that pass once more.
Well, LaRocco has been trying for a few laps here now to get around Carson. He closes as they come up onto this short straightaway and the giant trailer jump. Look at the air that LaRocco gets. He must be 20 feet in the air. He comes down on the other side, carries that momentum into this next jump, pulls up alongside, and then takes the lead going over that jump. You can see Carson himself having some problems as LaRocco chops down across his front wheel, and then LaRocco pulls away as they move into the rockers. Last lap, it's Mike LaRocco, your leader. Tommy Carson, 69 in second, and now Carson coming under fire from Peterson, who is just a couple of bike lengths back there. You can see number 17, Mike Jones in fourth, and 221, that is Keith Bowen. So it's very close here for those last two transfer spots.
Mike LaRocco, as much as anything, the reason they have Sky Dome open with the height he's getting at some of these jumps, he'd be a danger. Number 1 will be LaRocco as he takes the checkered flag, and followed closely by Carson. Can Ross Peterson nail down third? It appears, yes. In fact, Mike Jones got close, but Ross Peterson advances to the final. LaRocco Carson finishing 1-2. Coming up next, off-the-wall off-road car racing. And still to come, we'll have some of the well-known faces in hard bodies when we return to the Celebrity Challenge. Many of the riders and drivers in this competition were nervous. They're not, but the same does not hold true of the Celebrity Challenge, where the action was half as fast, but twice as frightening. In this sport, you need to be good in the corners, and when Darrell Sittler became famous, he usually had Tiger Williams take care of that. Well, he scored all the points. He has a huge following here in Toronto and is among the favorites in the Nissan Hard Body Challenge. There's Jerry Cooney, one of the challengers, the former heavyweight great. They want a few belts before this thing gets underway. Ted Nugent, well known in rock and roll circles, and his is the only 4x4 with a stereo. And there's one truck, I'm not sure of the number outside, but there's a 10 inside. That's Penthouse Pet Stephanie Page. The celebrities were all teamed with local personalities to try and raise money and get first to the wire. They help ensure no one falls asleep and help with navigation. Nugent, Sittler, Gary Green of Honeymoon Suite, and Cooney all advanced to the championship final. And at the outset, Nugent puts the pedal to the heavy metal, and he grabs the lead ahead of Gurham of Honeymoon Suite, who squeezes Darrell Sittler to the outside. Look at the three in back while Nugent cruises on into first place. The others are all clustered together. Jerry Cooney actually sizing up his opponents. He's got the best reach of any of the drivers, so he's in fourth where he thinks he's most comfortable. A lot of minor bumps along the way, but Nugent in first place appears to be clear of any of the roughhouse tactics. Now entering the last lap, Darrell Sittler with the fans raging for him to try and tighten the gap with number 6. Sittler is in number 5. And then it's Cooney and Gurham. And look at Cooney deliver the knockout punch as he gets Gurham out of the way. Had a little trouble getting by, but eventually I think he will. And at the top of the screen, it looked like Sittler may have squeezed by Nugent. In fact, he has. Darrell Sittler in first place, and that was with about 300 yards to go to the wire. And at the checkered flag, it's the NHL Hall of Famer, Sittler, in top spot. All of this, as I say, for a good cause to raise monies. There was some $2,500 donated to Head Injuries Association of Canada, another $2,500 to the Sick Children's Hospital. Here's where Darrell Sittler gets ahead. If you pay attention to the top left of your screen, never mind Cooney and the battle at the bottom. At the top, it's 5 on the outside going into top spot to finish first.
Hey, that's great. Super. To do that for a living, eh? That gets the old adrenaline going, I'll tell you.
It's only rock and roll, but I like it.
We had the outside lane. We couldn't get in. And those guys are pretty good. They moved right up in there real quick. Very bad navigating. We were on the outside lane again. You know, we pulled it off in the first heat, but the second heat was more difficult. But how do I feel? I'm always shook up.
That'd be a song with a ring to it. Well, on that note, everybody had a great time, and Darrell Sittler takes first place. The Riders got to the big showdown.
Mickey Diamond won heat number 1 in an impressive style, coming from behind twice to take the lead and the win away from Alan Dick. Diamond will be very tough here aboard his Yamaha. Damon Bradshaw, the defending Toronto Supercross champion, just 16 years of age. Shane Drew was the winner of heat number 3. He'll be one of the Canadian hopefuls. And young Mike LaRocco, the winner of heat number 4. He's been very impressive here this evening. The two-time Toronto winner, Ross Rollerball Peterson, will be on Suzuki. And Alan Dick, number 1, the CMA Grand National champion. He'll carry the other number 1 plate. And Keith Bowen from Michigan, the former Yamaha factory rider. And Tommy Carson, who was second in heat number 4. He's been strong here all night long as well.
It's a spectacle for the eyes and ears. 25 gun for top prize money in the first ever run at Skydome.
The rat trap starting gate falls. The Toronto Supercross underway. The charge into turn number 1. You can see a couple of riders being hooked up right at the back. It is 13, Arnaud Bernard. The Quebec rider, Arnaud Bernard, a surprise leader here on lap 1 aboard that bright yellow Suzuki. Bernard through the switchback. LaRocco, number 74, is right there in second. Peterson up to third. LaRocco and Peterson side by side. But there's your leader, Bernard. LaRocco holds the second place position. Peterson right there in third as they string out just a little bit on this opening lap. Rider number 72, Mickey Diamond, is back in the fourth place position. LaRocco, Peterson, Diamond all trying to chase down the early leader, Arnaud Bernard, as they move up into the series of rocker jumps here. And again, you can see LaRocco closing. He is the superior rider through that section of the racetrack. Up onto the straightaway now. 13, Bernard LaRocco pulls alongside. Mike LaRocco will take the lead.
Well, what a great start for Arnaud Bernard. In fact, we're going to have a look at how it is he assumed that top position, Pat, as we review the start. Into that first turn, he gets the inside track, and there are a couple of yellow Suzukis in the hunt as well. Ross Peterson trying to win again here in Toronto. It was LaRocco in second in the qualifying heat for much of the trip, and that seems to be where he gets at the beginning, and then, as you say, in the rockers is where he really establishes his dominance.
Mike LaRocco opening it up about 5-6 bike lengths. Here comes Peterson making a bid for second up to the outside. He will take over second spot from Arnaud Bernard, number 13. So Bernard has had his fame here so far. He did lead much of that opening lap, but now he's starting to fall well back as LaRocco, again, he's been getting tremendous height off of that big trailer jump, and that's just an indication as to the amount of speed he's gathering out of the turn before that. And this is where he's just been brilliant through the rockers. You can see the man and the machine just working in perfect unison as the rider becomes almost part of that suspension. There you can see the interval between the leader, Mike LaRocco, and the second place rider, Ross Rollerball Peterson.
Well, Ross had a broken wrist early in the season down south and wasn't able to compete in many of the U.S. events, but he came back very strongly in Canada in a race a few weeks ago in Moncton. He won on the 250 bike that's his, and he borrowed one to go in the 125cc competition, and he won on that as well. So he's in form, and now it will be a question of endurance because these American riders have really trained well all season, and Ross has had just the last month or so to get set.
Well, Ross has always kept himself in great shape. The injuries, of course, will curtail some of that training program, but he's about 12, 15 bike lengths back of LaRocco at the moment, and still trying to play catch-up. But Mike LaRocco has been superb all evening long. We saw him in that earlier qualifying heat, and he, of course, is rested for the rest of the evening up until this point. So he's well rested, and he's pumped for the final. Peterson in the second place position on the Suzuki. And, of course, Ross, who lost here in Toronto at Exhibition Place to Damon Bradshaw a year ago. He would dearly love to take back the Toronto title. Rider back there in the third place position is last year's winner, number 71, Damon Bradshaw. And Bradshaw now comes up to challenge Peterson for that second place position. Peterson, number 1, Bradshaw, 71. This is the battle for second place. Bradshaw on the Yamaha, Peterson on the Suzuki. Ross, who has won every single national championship. He's won 125s, he's won the 250 and 500cc outdoors, and of course is a multi-time Canadian Supercross champion and has really dominated the sport throughout the 1980s. And Peterson still going strong at an age when most riders have retired from this sport because it's so taxing both mentally and physically. There's your leader, 74, Mike LaRocco, the Indiana rider. And LaRocco, just 18 years of age himself. He was second this year in the United States Western Regional 125 Supercross Championships. And Ron, when you race the 125, you learn how to ride the machine very, very aggressively and at the limit, as you have to do in Supercross. And we're seeing a brilliant performance so far here by number 74, Mike LaRocco. There's Peterson, though. He has chopped down some of that lead. What was about 12 or 14 bike lengths earlier is now back to about 10 or 12, so he is inching up closer to Mike LaRocco.
They call this Supercross, and the only difference between Supercross and Motocross is that Supercross is indoors, and they introduced the spectacle about 10 years ago, and it's now got a huge following on both sides of the border. What about the surfaces, Pat, that they run on? I guess this is really a dirt mud-packed track indoors, but these American riders, I assume, have a diversified background.
Well, the American riders race almost every weekend, and their season really is almost 12 months of the year. They race down in California and in Florida throughout the winter months. And LaRocco, the American Supercross Series, ended a couple of weeks ago, and LaRocco is in fine form, but there you saw he had some problems coming off of that switchback turn, and Peterson has closed right up to within just a few bike lengths. LaRocco, and there's Peterson. Ross Peterson is putting on the charge. Here is LaRocco's problems as he comes into this tight left-hand switchback turn. He appears to get his left leg hung up on the bump there just down to the inside of the track. Peterson pulls to within just a bike length, but LaRocco recovers very, very nicely and is able to hold onto the lead. But Peterson is right in the thick of it. There is LaRocco, 74. He is pulled back out again. So although Peterson was able to close there, Ron, it looks like LaRocco has got a little bit in reserve whenever he needs it.
Whenever Mike LaRocco has run into trouble, it's because of the bigger bike. In that case, planting his foot. And earlier we saw him lose in the rockers a bit of the tail end of the motorcycle. But Ross Peterson is very comfortable, and he's trying to preserve that cushion over Damon Bradshaw, who's extremely dangerous, one of the two youngsters. It's a Yamaha sandwich right now with the Suzuki in the middle. And these three have really distanced themselves over these last couple of laps from the rest of the pack.
They're coming up on some of the slower traffic. That was number 10, Brad King, who was just running behind Ross Peterson. Here's number 11, Ryan Bell from St. Albert, Alberta. He now has been lapped by Mike LaRocco, your leader. And LaRocco, who last year in the United States won 3 125cc Nationals. He's a former amateur 250 champion, and really he has a brilliant career ahead of him.
Mike LaRocco in number 1 spot. There's the current leaderboard. LaRocco on the Yamaha, followed by Medicine Hat's Ross Peterson on his Suzuki, and Damon Bradshaw, the defending champion of Supercross here in Toronto, in 3rd position. All of the top 3 qualified in the preliminary heats, Pat, and that may be to their advantage in terms of stamina. Those heats were 5 laps. This final, of course, is 15, and that would be typical of Supercross.
That is a typical distance for one of the indoor events. LaRocco here, number 74, as all of the top riders will tell you, they do not want to have to go through a semifinal or a last chance qualifier. They want to go directly to the final out of their heat race. And LaRocco and Peterson and Bradshaw did exactly that earlier this evening. But number 74 here, Mike LaRocco, he's only 18 years of age, as we've said, but he's already been riding and racing for about 12 years because, especially in the United States, they start very, very young. Damon Bradshaw had his first motorcycle racing at the age of 3. So although we're looking at teenagers here, Ron, these riders are 12 and 13-year veterans of this type of competition. There is 74, LaRocco, your leader, as he continues to work on some of the slower riders. Slower riders, we say. Shane Drew here, number 7, who's about to be lapped. He won his qualifying heat, so this will give you an indication as to the pace that number 74, Mike LaRocco, has set. There he is. Shane Drew moves out of the way, lets the rider go through, and that will usually be a courtesy that the other riders will show as they're about to be lapped. They will move over and allow the rider who's running up front to make a clean pass. But there's LaRocco. He continues to lead it. Peterson in 2nd. Damon Bradshaw runs back in 3rd.
One of the things we've seen from LaRocco is the ability to size up the track and know which spots to take advantage of. They had 2 practice runs earlier this afternoon, and all of the riders are in the same boat in terms of their preparation. But a youngster like LaRocco coming in here from the United States, Pat, he seems to have really picked out the spots where he can make gains.
Well, we've seen time and time again, LaRocco is just brilliant through the rocker jumps. Part of that is riding style. The other thing is having the machine and the suspension set up perfectly for a racetrack that is pretty hard packed, but there is some ruts in it.
Pat, the track will be considerably smoother when you work the Molson Indy in Toronto. I'm sure you're looking very much forward to that event.
We are, Ron. It's going to be great working with Paul Page again, Brian Williams, and Ken Daniels. And Toronto is really becoming a hub for great motorsport events. The Molson Indy, one of those, and we're seeing a great run here with Mike LaRocco, number 74, as he comes up through this left-hand turn after taking the lead away from Arnaud Bernard. Bernard continues to drop well back down on the standings, although he did lead for most of that first lap. Here's number 17, Mike Jones, about to be lapped as well by Mike LaRocco, number 74. aboard the Yamaha. He's been racing Yamahas for a number of years. You could see one of the straw bales was pulled out onto the racetrack, and LaRocco was able to get around it. But, of course, if you run your front wheel into that, you're liable to go right over the handlebars. LaRocco will have to be very careful here. Now, there's the blue flag being displayed to the slow riders who are about to be lapped. We also have the light blue and white flag indicating the last lap. We have got less than a lap to go. LaRocco, number 74. We talked about Arnaud Bernard. He is the rider on that yellow Suzuki just ahead of LaRocco. So Bernard, who led on that first lap, again, an indication as to how strongly LaRocco has run here. He has just been lapped by Mike LaRocco.
Ross Peterson trying to catch LaRocco and also hold on to second spot. The Flames fan, I went to Ross to talk about motocross and supercross earlier today, and all he wanted to talk about was hockey. Medicine Hat is a great program in the Western League, and the Flames won the cup. He thought that might be an omen. But you can see it's tight now as they work through the back of the pack and try to hold on to their positions. LaRocco in the lead, Peterson second, and the defending champ, Bradshaw, in third.
Here's LaRocco, just the first turn to go, and up to the finish jump. The checkered flag is out. Mike LaRocco has won the Molson Export Supercross. What a run for this 18-year-old from Indiana, his first time here in Toronto, and he wins it.
What a gratifying result this has to be for Ross Peterson as he places second, and in third spot, the defending champion, Damon Bradshaw. Officially, Mike LaRocco on the Yamaha wins the Supercross with Ross Peterson of Medicine Hat, Alberta, placing second aboard his Suzuki, and in third, Damon Bradshaw with the Yamaha. We'll get a word from the winner and wrap things up here when we continue from the now finishing moments of a race that really was never in doubt as Mike LaRocco got off to a terrific start and put it to all of the competition throughout this run with a marvelous exhibition of riding. And Mike, last year a teenager came to Toronto and won the last event at Exhibition Stadium, and now you come here and win the inaugural race at Skydome. How do you feel?
It feels good. Racing right now is becoming a younger guy's sport, and it's kind of turning out that way.
The guy on your tail, Ross Peterson's 28 now, so you got the best of him, but I think the beginning would have to be where you really set yourself apart from this field. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, the start's definitely the most important part in a race, and especially on a track like this where everything's tight, and start definitely helped me out here tonight.
In your young career, how does this victory rate?
This is up there pretty good because I haven't won too many Supercross or any on a 250, so this will do me pretty good.
You're right, 125 has been your specialty. Congratulations on a marvelous performance here in Toronto.
Thank you.
Okay, Pat Gonzalez, it really was a tremendous day all around.
Well, I think we've seen another Supercross star born here at the Skydome in Mike LaRocco. We're going to be hearing a lot more from him, but an inspired ride.